I really wanted to do something special this year for Starrcast. As much as I love doing meet and greets and meeting everyone, I thought that being able to give you guys a sort of a sneak peek and a viewing at a very special thing that's near and dear to my heart, which is this documentary, and which couldn't be legally streamed or viewable in America. And for the people that have possibly illegally viewed it, I wanted to make something completely original that no one has seen. And you'll see that today. So, as Conrad may or may not have mentioned, we have posters that are available. And we have a gigantic poster, I believe, or something like that. And everything is going for Fight for the Fallen. This is my way of giving back and contributing, and each and every one of you guys, in your own way, is giving to a very good place, a good source. So thank you so much for not only taking part in this with me and watching this documentary. If it's your first time, it'll be my first time too. But also taking part in an event for charity, which always, when I can, I love to do that. So yesterday was a big success, thanks to each and every one of you. And it doesn't stop here. We have Fighter Fest coming up at Daytona Beach. And of course we have Fight for the Fallen as well, very shortly thereafter. And so the ball is just gonna keep rolling, and with the support of you guys, and just with us trying to keep this whole thing together, we hope to really build AEW to the next big thing. And yeah, let's close off this event with a bang. So I don't know where I'll be situated for the viewing, but let's watch the documentary.
Don't die down now. Let's keep it going for Kenny Omega.
Jeez, I laughed, I cried, I laughed again. I don't know why I was waiting so long to watch that with everyone, but I'm glad I could make my first experience of watching that documentary with you guys. I know it may seem odd to hear this, but I'm actually a very shy boy. And to watch myself in such a very different format than what I'm used to, I can watch, GIFs of myself. Sometimes if I really want to see how a move turned out or a sequence or whatever, I can watch a match here and there. But I was so afraid to see how this documentary would turn out. And it wasn't, thank you. But they did a fantastic job, and I think, what really helped was that these weren't wrestling fans that made this documentary, and I think that really helped to tell the story that I wanted to tell, which is not just a bunch of maneuvers or, what makes me, what makes wrestling cool through a wrestling fan's eyes. I think in the end it also accomplished that, but I feel that maybe, that's something I could show some of my friends that have been disenchanted with wrestling. Anyway, I'm happy with that, guys. Jeez. For someone who's become my rival, and for someone who did so much damage to me yesterday, Chris Jericho's contributions were pretty funny. But I won't thank him. So I suppose now is the time for the panel. I freaking wish that I could see anyone to raise their hands to ask a question, but I'm blinded by this goddamn hot light. No, for real, the lights are blinding, I can't see anything. So if someone could help me point out who's asking a question, get a mic, and I can answer some stuff, let's do it. I'm gung-ho for it.
And we got Dan and Saint Germain who are going to help us out. And they've both got.
And of course, I'll try my best to answer the question, but who knows if I'll even be able to.
Hey, I'm Damon. Nice to meet you, Kenny.
Hey there.
Hey, I have a question. So, regarding I love gear first of all, and you have probably some of the best in all of wrestling right now. I know you're very meticulous in terms of your creativity and all that. So, what goes through your mind in terms of when you plan for making gear for a particular event or match or anything like that?
That's a very good question. Most of the time there is a theme to every match, and I had a very interesting idea for a theme for this particular occasion. However, I thought with it being a brand new start, I didn't want to go too crazy with it, and I wanted to kind of keep it just general and make it more of an introduction to my new entrance music, because I felt that if I did something, a huge production, and we'll get to that production eventually, trust me, that idea is just kind of, it's going in the shelf for a second, but we'll probably bring it back for All Out, probably. For example, one of my costumes it was created for my first ever main event at Osaka-jo, which is like the palace. So I used a lot of imagery, Japanese imagery from the palace on my tights, and it kind of became one of my favorite costumes to use. One of my greatest supporters, Matsuya Jurina, I don't know if you guys know, but she was number one in AKB, and she fell ill, so I made a costume just to show support for her, to show support for me. One of my other favorite costumes was during the G1 when I wanted to meet Ibushi in the finals, so I did the half Ibushi, half Kenny. There's always a theme. There's never a time when I just go, yeah, I'll just do this, that, and this, and I don't know, you come up with it. There's a meaning behind everything that I do, and sometimes it's for better or for worse, but I overthink things a lot. But for the next show and set of shows, there probably will be costume changes and there will be a theme, and whether you guys can decipher the code or not, it will be something special to me. So yeah, if that answers your question. Yep.
How you doing, Kenny? This is actually my second question this week to you. You took my last one on being the elite the other day.
Oh, I did?
That was me, yeah.
Oh, thanks for the question.
Amazing movie. The Bullet Club was touched on lightly. Would you be interested in doing a documentary with those guys sometime like this?
You know what? We kind of, it's interesting because we did release a Japan-only recreation and sort of history of the Bullet Club. And I think even New Japan released kind of a mini-series of, I don't know how long the episodes were each, but it was like 20 minutes or so per era. But a Bullet Club documentary I think would be interesting. But the problem is you have at least one party that isn't willing to play ball. And they have some key members right now, unfortunately. So as much as I would be interested in doing so, there probably wouldn't be comment from those players. And I think to really make that successful, for people to understand sort of the impact and what it means to everyone, we'd have to bring the whole band back together and get comments from everyone. So I don't see that being realistic right now. I'm all for it, but I can't see it, especially after the success of last night. I can't see it happening anytime soon.
Hello, Kenny. Over here.
Where are you?
I'm Brian from Los Angeles. I wanted to ask regarding your Japan career. I'm familiar with some of your work in New Japan, and I really like the matches. I was wondering if maybe you could comment on an underrated match in New Japan that people could check out, or a DDT match that is probably not seen by a lot of people.
Absolutely. There is a guy in DDT, and I had such incredible chemistry with him. And you wouldn't really know him unless you're really familiar with the product, but his name was Antonio Honda. With another guy who's very up and coming, and I'm kind of excited, and who knows, you probably will see him in AEW, and his name is Konosuke Takeshita. So, But if we're going to talk about matches, particular specific matches, you would have seen them already, but copyright infringements and such have prevented it. We have this type of match, kind of famous in DDT, and it's called the Rock and Roll Death Match, where you wrestle the match, but at a random moment in the match, the DJ will play music, and you have to stop wrestling and dance until the music is finished. And I sort of made a legendary series with Antonio Honda or Ayazawa. And I wish I could release these somehow in digital form or on DVD, or just kind of discreetly upload them somewhere before they get yanked by copyright infringements and such. But they are so fun, so funny, so creative. And I was actually looking back because I really missed tagging with Michael Nakazawa. We had a heck of a team, like for real. And we did this match where it was myself and Michael Nakazawa. And it was against Michael's, more common tag team partner, Matsunaga. And a girl that actually debuted yesterday for the show for the AEW, Hikaru Shida. And this might be uploadable, and maybe I will, but I mean, there was dissension within the ranks of the Neuter brothers, which is Matsunaga and Nakazawa, and we decided to make oil legal in the match. Baby oil was legal, 100%. And the whole thing degenerates at one point because the kendo stick is introduced. Nakazawa wants to fight back. I'm not doing this justice, but let's just say I find the perfect weapon to combat a kendo stick, and things degenerate in glorious fashion. And it has become, I think it was at the time, one of my favorite matches of all time. But after rewatching, like, man, this thing holds up. It is a great match. It's so funny. There's no lull points. It's just like wrestling reinvented. And then I think we ended it off by singing the Japanese song, the Japanese version of the Frozen theme. You'd never see anything like it, but yeah. My DDT library, I hope at some point will be available to everyone. And if it can't be, then I hope to bring some of those aspects back to AEW so you guys can see the brilliance of what DDT is.
Over here.
Yep.
Hey, Kenny, Joshua from Winnipeg here.
What? Come on, you liar.
No.
All right. Thank you, man.
Neighbor? So, two-part question here.
Yeah.
Have you guys put in any thought into having pay-per-view events in Canada?
Yes.
Specifically Winnipeg or any other city? And also, is TSN going to be the channel that the weekly show will be appearing on or airing on?
Those are two very good questions. So I don't know if you guys knew this, but TSN is, somewhat loosely related to ESPN and such, and ESPN also has a relationship to TNT. The connection seems kind of organic there. And I really do hope that people in Canada will have immediate access to our weekly television show, and we will strive to make that happen. And that being said, it would be a disservice to my wonderful Winnipeg fans to not bring two of the top members of the AEW roster that are from Winnipeg and sell the TSN. And you know what? A place that's also kind of special to me is we've done Toronto, and anytime I went there with Ring of Honor, those fans were so warm and receptive, and it's really a huge hotbed for wrestling. And they're always just hungry for more and more and more, and I really think that we could kind of, I don't know, make like I don't want to say a house show loop, but I want to make it so that we hit Canada and we travel across Canada with our brand, because that's something that we never could do with New Japan when we were trying to break into the Western markets. But now is the time, and the people in power are the right ones to make the decisions. And Tony's all about it. So I can guarantee you that you will see not only one, but multiple shows in Canada, and hopefully a weekly show in Vancouver as well.
Getty, hey.
Yes. Hello. Hey.
I'm Robert. I'm here from Las Vegas. And
Oh, you didn't travel far enough. Next question.
So the documentary here presents a LGBT story. How important is LGBT representation for you? Why is it so important to you?
Yeah, that's a really good question. You know, it's just, you kind of look at things in the wrestling world that are, you know, ignored, or things that, it's easy to always be the low-hanging fruit in wrestling because, you know, as actually Dave Meltzer said, it's sort of considered third-rate entertainment. We can get away with just being cheesy and sort of, it's okay for us to be bad actors. It's okay for us to tell terrible stories. It's okay for us to abandon storylines because, hey, we'll be back next week and we'll give you something else. Who cares? We don't want to be a traveling circus and take our fans for granted. And we want to make sure that our stories have payoffs that you guys can love and appreciate. And we want to make sure that our stories are not only just, you know, LGBTQ centric, but I mean stories for everyone, for this kind of person, for that kind of person, for that kind of person. When I try to tell my stories in particular, as best as I can, I try to paint in broad strokes with plenty of finite strokes in between. So you can kind of take something that I'm painting in this picture and you can take it into one direction because there are those details there. And then there are those details in another direction if you want to take it that way too. Everyone asks, and everyone kind of assumes that, you know, when they watch this documentary, and of course it was hard for me to comment because I hadn't seen it, but they said, you know, I loved your documentary, but I think it focused too much on your gay storyline with Kota Ibushi. And when I watched it just now, I thought, I didn't look at it that way. Not at all. It never at one point, even though that story was important to me personally, and I brought a lot of my real life into that story, and something that meant a lot to me, and in a way meant everything to my career. It was more about not only the relationship between, you know, two men of the same, you know, two people of the same sex, but how that relationship helps and can fuel someone thrive in the workplace and thrive in real life, and how it can inspire you and how it can make you a better person to be at one. This new product. My own worry is that I'm going to have a lack of life experiences to help fuel the hamster wheel in here to power this thing forward. But every day these interesting things are happening. Even today is going to be a memory that I'll never forget. And these are all things, these feelings that I feel when I'm watching myself on screen, these feelings that I feel when I'm in front of you people, these feelings that I feel, you know, when someone from a rival company shows up and then throws me 10 feet through a stage, and I'm sitting there like from the Joker from the original Batman movie. These are all things that inspire me, and they will fuel me, and thus you will get more unique original stories. And they're not going to be necessarily for everyone, but they will be for someone. And I think that's what's going to make AEW the perfect variety show, and why the last three matches were a complete different extension of us as people and characters. The Cody versus Dustin match was extremely different from the Young Bucks versus Lucha Brothers, which was extremely different from myself versus Chris Jericho. We believe in all styles of pro wrestling. We believe all of them can thrive. However, we will never feel the need to copy one another or feel that we have to remain in a certain pro wrestling archetype. It's always going to be a variety show. And there's always going to be so many types of emotions and things you can take from our shows. And we just hope that, you know, even if you don't like everything, that you'll be entertained with most of what we have. And it'll be different every time.
今日ここに来たかったって言ってました。でなんとか私は、ここにいる 友達のおかげでここに来れました。どうか日本のファンのみんなに言葉を少しいただけたら嬉しいです。
日本の何ですか？
日本のファンのみんなに何か言葉を。
ああ、そうかそうかそうか。そうだね。日本の皆さんが見れたんだね、ファイト TV で。見れました。ああ。まあ、それで見れて嬉しいですね。そうだね。まあ、よく聞かれるのが、いつ日本に戻るか、いつ日本に帰るか。それはまだわからないんですけど、まだ新日本の大会とかいっぱい見てて、なんか寂しいなと思って、いぶしさんは大丈夫かなと思って、またいつかゴールデンアワーズで試合をしたいと思ってて、とりあえず今は寂しい気持ちが多い、本当は。もちろんいろんな日本の会社とコラボしたい。 DDT とか新日本とかなんですけれども、タイミングがね、それは難しい。だからイブシさんと離れてるのがすごく辛い。思ったより辛い、本当は。また4年前みたいな感じが戻りました。だけど今はなんかしょうがないなっていうのを感じ。でもさ、実はブシローの人たちが昨日見に来た。Anyway, I knew that if I asked for him to come here, that he would. And if I begged for him to come, that he would. But I knew that his dream before anything that we ever did was to win the IWGP heavyweight belt. And I really want that for him, and everyone really wants that for him. And sometimes you have to not be selfish, and you don't want in any relationship to have that, the feelings of regret, and you don't want people to. I remember being in Ibushi's shoes. I was that guy, and I didn't want there to be. I didn't want for us to recreate the feelings from 4 or 5 years ago, where one was following in another one's shadow. Ibushi deserves all the success in the world, and I said it every interview. He's better than I am. He's got more potential than I do, and he just needs to go out there and just take that spotlight, and now he's got it. And us being apart is going to be a great thing for both of us in the end. And once we can finally, and it's just work is work, right? It's a business, but we'll be back. And I feel that when we're back on the same page, it'll be a whole new chapter to the Golden Lover story, and it might be the best one yet.
Thank you, Kenny!